revealed to you is something about the Bible that most people missed, which is the fact that it is, in fact, the book of Genesis is your health book. That is what it is. The book of Genesis is simply a book that is allegories about your body, and in order for you to understand that, you must know where it came from and what it was. And so before you dive into the book of Genesis, you should realize whose name was on there originally. Hey, what's up? Peace. See, because, they've got you guys following all these gods and ideas of deities and things of that nature, but because what they've removed from the Bible was, in fact, you. It was all about you, and you were supposed to learn from this. But instead of learning from it, you were given stories that just basically hid the information right in front of your face, right? Because those that have the eyes to see will see, right? Those who seek God will find, and all these other things that they say, right? So I'm waiting for this guy to come in here, because what he doesn't understand is that I don't need a book. I don't need a book to speak to my Creator. I hear it in me every day. It speaks to me and through me fluently, because I allow it to, because I keep my mind clear so that I'm able to hear it. And that's the problem is, when you're taught too many things, you begin to mute out the only things that you hear. Now, just to let y'all know, there are no names of any deities allowed to be typed into my chat. Now, if that makes it so that you're uncomfortable here, that means you're a little bit possessed. And that means that it's going to be difficult for you to hear the things that I have to explain. So, allow me to show you, because once again, it was not, in fact, Jesus that was on the front of the book. Okay, that was not the name of the person that was on this section, because this portion of the book had nothing to do with somebody named Jesus. It was Isis, as always has been, because the origin of this is from the ancient texts. And Isis is not a deity. Isis is the representation of the spirits. That is the energy that binds things together. Okay, that has nothing to do with the only reason that it's something that you can't see is because it's so tiny. Okay, it's what holds everything together. Okay, that's why it's in fact called Onto Genesis, the gene of Isis. So, I can't zoom in. There we go. Onto Genesis, right? Now, once I explain these things to you, we're going to dive into the story of Moses. Okay, because there's a lot of things that people don't understand about that story as well. Okay, and when we start tying these things together, it's going to show you something real special about this book, and that is that this book is in fact about you and your body and how to operate and maximize it to its fullest potential. So, in the book of Genesis, right, they teach you about the growth of man, right, and that's done through what? Isis. As you can see, right? Now, I'm going to show you these symbols as we go along so that you can see this more clearly, okay? Now, you have the male phallus. You have the female womb, okay? Or you have the sun that rises and the moon. The moon is the most high. Right? It's always the one that's high up there. Okay, that's the moon, the most high. Okay, the sun is the one that rises and falls. That's the seed of life. Okay, now the vulture that you see here. Sorry about that. See this vulture that sits on top of the skull? Why would the vulture sit there? Anybody? Now remember, the birds of the heavens and the beasts of the field are there for your knowledge, right? So if we're going to discuss this from biblical things, we're going to use biblical rules. The animals are there to teach you about you. That's who has more knowledge of man than the birds of the heavens and the beasts of the field, right? So if the animals are there to teach you, what's the vulture teaching you? What is the vulture? The vulture is the king of the birds that consumes everything. That's what your mind does. Your mind is the thing that absorbs everything, right? Just like the king vulture. Now, it has to be on feathers because what? Feathers are things that travel through the air, right? Your thoughts travel through the air. So it's a bird because of the fact that your thoughts travel through the air. That makes perfect sense. It's the king vulture because this is how you get the what? The king's dome, the king's mind, or the instructions or control over your own thoughts. Okay? So, now, why this phallus, that's what the male phallus looks like without the skin on it, okay? Because remember, this is biology, okay? So they're not going to give you, this is so that you learn things inside and out, okay? Because inside the temple is where it's all stored, right? That's where you find all of the pictures that tell you about yourself is inside of the temples, all right? So you have the thought that's sending the instructions through the seed in the phallus, right? It's the thought that makes the sunrise, okay? Now that's being bound together through the womb, right? Because this is the female, right? And it's being put in, being led in the female. You understand? So, yes, everybody. This is the genetic makeup of man and mankind alike. Okay? This is the creation of the physical body. Okay? We understand that there are variances in the different times and the different creations over time. We understand this. This is the general makeup of building the human body. It makes no difference whether you're dark or light skinned. Okay, so one second. Move this keyboard real quick. Now, so you have the male phallus. You have the female womb that the male phallus is bound in, right? So this is the creation of it, and this is taking place. It's traveling through the lower portion of the body. This is your femur bone. The reason that it's the femur is because it's letting you know that it's dealing with the lower half, okay? Because the frog would be at the midsection. You get what I'm saying? Like, okay, so this is the female's womb. Now notice how they're all orange. Why would it be orange right now? Right? Because you got to realize that all these different depictions come in different colors, right? The reason that they come in different colors is because it's symbolic of what's taking place. This is not the sun. Okay? It's not the sun. This is a moon because it's a womb. It's a moon. All right? The moon has always represented the feminine side of things because the feminine side is where what? The development happens, the growth, the emotion, the energy in motion, right? Men are the physical side of things, the physical building of something external. Women do the building internally, okay? It's all energetic exchange and it's all being carried by feminine. That's why it's the Isis, the Genesis, the ontogenesis, okay? The developmental growth is also named after this. This is why, okay? So feminine represents the energy exchange. The masculine is the physical, okay? So the spirit, the woman represents the spirit, okay? The Genesis. So, as you see, the seed is bringing in the what? The altar and the what? The nerve stems, right? You have the temple and the stems. Okay? So, but that's being given by the seed, by the man, because you have to have the male seed in order to build the pieces. Okay? That's why she sits on the throne, because the pieces haven't been built yet. They're in the building process. The reason that everything is orange is because it's what? All based off of astrology. What else is orange? What's orange that's in the sky and it's not the sun? What phase of the moon turns it a giant orange color? What's that called? What do we still call it to this day? Anybody? It's the one that the farmers go wait for. There it is. The harvest moon. The harvest moon is orange. So when the body is being harvested or being put together, you're going to find that it's always going to be orange or golden looking. Okay? These are the ventricles that come from the heart. The heart is the first thing that comes together. It's the nerve stems and things that bind everything together. They come from the mind of the man. And it's built within the woman, the womb, where the waters are. Okay? So, the developmental growth. All right? Don't forget to tap the screen and all that garbage, okay? Gotta feed TikTok's little algorithms and stuff. Now, gotta feed TikTok's little algorithms and stuff. Now, all right, so in the book of Genesis, where you learn about the developmental growth of man, right, and how man is put together, they teach you the story of Moses. So, the question is, how does that reference to the body? Well, osmosis, right? Now, in the story of Moses, let's see, there he is, right? In the story of Moses, yeah, let's get a better picture than that, right? You learn about a man that speaks to a burning bush. Here, make this with me. Here, let's just make this with me real quick. Go to Photoshop real quick. I got to build this one anyway. Make the collage. Now, let's get the burning bush leading the people. Osmosis. And outside of osmosis, let's see, what else do we need? We need the pictures from Google Photos real quick. Continue. Bing. 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 Do. Now from here we need, where's mental magic? Mental magic. Out of mental magic for Moses, you need the tablets. You need what the staff represents. And you also need to know what the Lamb of God is. And let's see. I need a few more pictures. Let's see. What else do we know about Moses? What animal did Moses speak to? I know he spoke to an animal. I just forget which one it was. Anybody? What animal was it that he spoke to? Wasn't it like a camel or something? spoke to a serpent. All right, that's a couple answers for the snake, so all right, we'll run with that one. Okay. Now hold on 1 second. I'm missing a piece. Where is that burning bush? Ah, there we go. And Moses talking to it. Okay, so that should be enough. Let's see. Oh, no, he was talking to the serpent, so add that one in there. And then we'll go for mental magic. We need one more photo of... One second. Let's see. Cross the sea. Swapping of the blood. Oh, didn't he cast that serpent down in front of the king? Right? Wasn't that what they said? And so that would be... Oh, no. Let's get this. Bink. So that's the one for the blood, right? All right. Here we go. Well, let's put them all together. Next. And let's put it together like, let's see, what it's just a regular setup. Bam, that's perfect right there. So, let's talk about Moses real quick, shall we? Now let's rearrange this a few times because that's not the order we want it in. Oh, wait, aren't we missing a picture of Moses? All right, let's just move some stuff around here. Oh, that's kind of dope. All right, there we go. I like that. How do we lock them in place? Let's go to... All right, so check this out, right? Hey, what's up, man? Okay, so let's move this over here. How do we adjust the pictures inside of these things, though? Check this out, right? I'm gonna adjust this one more time. Ah, nice. All right, so we're gonna put our guy Moses right over here. Bink, just like this, okay? Now, you have the burning bush that he speaks to. Bink. That's this one right here. That's those hieroglyphs right there. And then you have the lamb. We're going to have to add a picture in there. You have the blood. Right? And the journey of it to the king. You also have osmosis. That way people know what it is. You have the tablets that he read from. And the serpent. All right, good enough. Let's download this so I can show you. You have to replace that picture right there, though, because that one's fucking horrific. Give me 1 second. I gotta swap that out. Edit, replace. Recently added, maybe? Let's try this one. So, osmosis, right? Notice how osmosis is a passive process and happens without any expenditure of energy. It involves the movement of molecules from a region of higher concentration to a lower concentration until the concentrations become equal on either side of the membrane. So, they give you this story about a guy named Moses, right? Now, Moses does what? He goes to a place where there's a whole bunch of people that are gathered into one place, right? And he takes those people that are gathered into one place because there's an abundance of them, right? And when he removes them from it, it does what? It evens things out. So he takes the people from one place and then transfers them to another place. The same process as osmosis. Osmosis is a passive process that without expenditure of any energy involves the movement of molecules from a region on a higher concentration to a lower concentration. It's the even disbursement of the blood. It has nothing to do with, what do you call it? Hey, what up, Chuck? It has nothing to do with biblical things. You see, the staff that Moses carries is actually the representation of your ascending artery, okay? Right? And they tell you that he's a sheep herder, right? So this is what a lamb looks like. Here's the ear right here. Here's the face right here. This is the sheep herder, right? He's the master of the mind, okay? And the waters and the blood that travels through it, okay? So, Moses, who carries the staff, transfers the people, right? Or the blood, right? Because that's what you're seeing there. That's the blood within the body. Okay, that's why it's all bound together. They're not slaves. Okay, it's not slavery. Okay, Osiris is the representation of the ventricles connecting to the inner portion of the mind. Okay, that's why he travels from low to high. He actually represents your endocrine system. And so when Moses climbs Mount Sinai, right? If we go and look up this etymology real quick, let's see. We go to the origin of the word sin. Now I want you to notice something, right? Sin comes from the Babylonian moon god, right? The moon god. Why would it be the moon god? Because once again, we're talking about feminine. Why is it feminine? Because feminine has to deal with the development or the growth of something. So, the moon, right? Okay? Now realize this is a peninsula. A triangular peninsula in Egypt that connects Asia and Africa. Mount Sinai, also known as Jabal Musa, is maintained in the Sinai Peninsula that is considered one of the locations where Moses received the commandments. Some scholars believe that Mount Sinai was of ancient sanctity prior to the ascension of Moses described in the Bible. Scholars have theorized that Sinai and derived its name from the word for moon, which was sin, meaning the moon or to shine. Okay, because I keep telling you this is about astrology and the body, right? So the moon is feminine, and who else had to deal with the moon? Guess what? They also tie Thoth, right? Because Thoth has to do with the mind and the heart. So it makes sense that he gets tied into that. Okay. So the mountain, right? Zoom this out. The mountain that was climbed to get to the burning bush. You see him going to the burning bush? See how he has the shepherd's staff, right? And you see how he's receiving. See how he's got the scarab in his hand, the thing that travels down and up throughout the body, right? Notice how Thoth is standing here on the side, and you have the representation of what? The energy that's coming from it. You see the burning embers around the bush. Notice how the bush has the stems, has the leaves, and then it has embers all around it, right? That same burning bush that they be trying to tell you about in the Bible. I keep telling you, you don't know it, right? Same one. See the little embers on the end of it? All around it. All right. Oh, because people keep getting my account flagged. That's why. Ugh. I got people flagging my posts, and no matter what subject I post up, and then now TikTok's got some new shit where they're just automatically coming for my lives and stuff, you know? So that's your cerebellum. The place where your automated functions derive their thoughts of direction from. Well, let me make sure I got that correct, because I'm sitting here questioning it, so that means I might have had that incorrect. All right, so we'll go look that up real quick. So osmosis is in the story of Genesis because through the development of man, how do you know this? Well, it's kind of right in front of you. It's understanding the birds of the heavens and the beasts of the field, right? If you understand the the animals, that makes most of the symbols make sense. Once you get the general understanding, it just makes it easier to see it more and more. You get what I'm saying? So, the serpents are your ventricles, okay? That's why Moses talked to the serpent, right? Because it was the instructions on what was going through the body. Right? So the story of Moses is actually the building process and the cleansing process of the body. There was no physical person that crossed the Red Sea and blah, 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 blah. They've named things after the works, not before. You know they named things after the works because the words match up. It wouldn't match up if they didn't do it first. They had to get it from somewhere. Right? People keep looking at it in reverse. They're like, oh, it existed first and then the words. No, because the words describe what they found. Well, it only breaks down to Greek because that's when people started using like the alphabet. That's why it only goes back to Greek, is because that's when people were using the alphabet. The alphabet was a new language. That was a new world order. Through that new world order, it gave you these new words that are tied to the old things that leave you the keys to understand it if you had the ability to, like, if somebody gives you the thing about this is somebody has to give you these keys. You understand? These are things that can only be passed on through time because they're no longer written, they're only spoken, right? It's the spoken word. You understand? So It's when you stumble across somebody like me that has the ability to give you the inkling, is because I stumbled across somebody else that had this past, and that they had somebody else that had this past, and they had somebody else that had this past. Had it not been done, all the information would be lost. You understand? Some of these things just awaken things within you that make it so that you understand further. So the same thing that happened to me is the same thing that's happening to you. This is the only way that these things could be carried. That's why in the stuff that I created, outside of like, you know, the pictures and stuff that are just on there, where's this one, right? And all the stuff that I created, there's not really words on there, because these things are meant to be spoken, right? That's how it's kept alive, right? That's why you can find how to read and write this stuff, but it's still not going to tell you the stuff that I know about it. You can learn all those little definitions and words and all the little languages that they taught about it, but there's still going to be the side of this that isn't written. That's just drawn out. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, like an intuition almost. It's anything that you spend a lot of time on. You know, they told you spend 100 hours on something, you know, you basically mastered it compared to everybody else. Well, I've been at this for like 7 or 8 fucking years. Like, I stumbled across my friend that started that was passing it probably like almost 12, 13 years ago. Always I'd catch him live on fucking Facebook and shit like that. Like, yeah. And then one day, like, we just, you know, had a conversation, and next thing I know, like, we're just doing everything and just move it in. It is a justice system. It's the balance of everything, my friend. You know? I don't have to stop smoking, Jack. Guess what? Guess what, my friend? You see, I just activate my autophagy every day, which means that my cells get rebuilt daily. My body gets restructured daily. Then I fast at least 1 week out of every month. You understand? So I don't have to worry about the things that you guys have to worry about. I understand the concern, though. I do understand where your concern comes from. I appreciate the sentiment, but I promise you, the whole purpose of all of this is to learn how to regulate. Why do you think there's Chinamen that live to be fucking like 100 years old that sit there chiefing on pipes the whole entire time? It's not because it's bad for you. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, it's all what we accept, you know. What you choose to accept is the reality that you're gonna get. So I choose the one of I know how to regulate. I choose the reality where I've learned to regulate my body so that I can do the things that I like eat meat every once in a while and eat pork every once in a while. I can do whatever I want. I cleanse my stuff. And it's not even a task, you know. At first it'll feel like it's a task, but then it just becomes, oh, that's just reality. All right, so now, like, I don't have to try. I just automatically fall right into fasting. I don't have to put effort into it and think to myself, oh, it's time to fast or something like that. It's just all of a sudden just hunger just disappears for a couple days. And my body just cleans itself right out. Just you get me? You gotta train that shit in, man. Once you train it in, it just does it. No, I don't lose muscle mass. My body's used to it, but my body knows when that happens that it's supposed to be. It goes into that mode automatically. That means that everything that needs to be kicked in my system kicks in. So that's why the feeling of hunger gets lost, because it's providing itself all the things that it needs already. That's how I end up just auto fasting. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what that's how you do it. And then through that, like you get in the natural habit of, hey, you just throwing some working out. I also work out on top of it every once in a while. Like I don't do it every day. I don't force myself or fucking like, no, I just, whenever I see it to do it, I do it. That's the other thing, is just do it when you want to do it. Like don't hinder yourself. Trust yourself. Yourself knows. It's like, all right, it's time to work out a little bit. You missed a couple of days. Well, I didn't miss any days. It's just now it's time to work out. You get what I'm saying? No, I don't avoid it during the fast. Absolutely not. Why would I treat my body any differently? If you treat your body like it's doing something irregular, it becomes a warning or a red flag for your system. Remember, the thing is we greatly underestimate how much we control the way that this body operates. Or maybe you're just not understanding to the point to where you're actually able to operate it or tune into it yet. But once you grasp this concept and you're really able to fully trust it, then you'll find that you can how you think I got everything that I'm doing on, like it just auto does it and shit. You get what I'm saying? So Moses in the Red Sea analogy, bro, that's the cleansing of the blood. Moses is the cleansing. He took the good out of, like, remember, he took the good out of the bad. He separated it, took one to one side, put one, like, left one on the other side. You get what I'm saying? He went up to the mountain and found out that things were fucked up. Right? That's the red flag going off in your brain, telling your fucking body, hey, look, that's when you're about to get sick. Okay, that's what it is. That's when you're about to get sick. You get me? So you have, let's see, where's the one that I just made? Oh, hold on a second. There's none in that one. I'm using this one. This right here, right? I need to put this in the other folder. My bad. I just got this thing like a couple days ago. I got a used one. So I thought it was going to be easier, but it's more complicated. It's all right. I'll get used to it. Anyway, so look, right? So you have the serpent that Moses met, right? See him standing right there? Right? Because Moses had to go and talk to the serpent, right? The serpents represents your veins and your arteries and all the ventricles throughout the body. Okay, those are your serpents. Look at them. They're serpents. Okay. So he went and got the tablets, right? Which are the shape of your lungs, right? And inside those lungs is what? The words. Why? Because that's where your fucking words come from. The air that comes out of your lungs, like. So this is where they get the idea that the word of God is in the breath. Do you understand where all of these things come from? Do you get it? When they say that the word of God is in the breath. Right? Now look, what's interesting is you have this in the vertebrae, right? Your lungs provide the air to everything. Right? The lungs provide the air to everything. Everything in your body gets air from your lungs. Everything. There's air, there's oxygen in the water, there's oxygen in the blood, there's just certain amounts. Trace, right? Oh, this is why they say that the name of God is in the breath, the word of God is in the breath. It's the air. Like that's where they got it from. It's the lungs. That's what the shape is. That's what it represents. And inside the lungs is where you find the word, because it's in the breath. Okay. Yeah, the membrane. Air clouds? What air clouds you talk about? But yeah, it takes a while to make these pages, yeah. It takes like 5 or 6 hours when I really do it. Not really bringing people up at the moment, right? Okay, so look, right? You see how you have the guy in the vessel that's pouring stuff out, right? Today they'll tell you that these are a bunch of slaves. Right? They'll tell you these are a bunch of slaves working, right? But look, I want to show you something, right? Look, check this out. What do you see here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's hard to see the heads. We gotta go by the necks because they got these little poles sticking out too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. So you got 7, 7. Right. Up here you have a mixture of the two. You see? All right. But look, check this out. Notice how they're mixing together? Now look. Now let's do some math for a second here. All right. We're just going to focus on these two groups because this is male, female. All right. Females have the long hair. Males don't have hair. Okay. 7 times 7 is what? 144. The reason that this doesn't count for this is because if you notice, these are all female and these are all male. Over here, you have the males mixed in with the females. Every other one. Right? So what is that? That's multiplication of the two. You understand? Notice how these are different than all the rest of them. Okay, so this is where your story of Moses, of the ones from the people and then the ones that were chasing after them, right? How they all bound together to cross the sea. You see? You know it's the sea because look, there's somebody in a boat to let you know that this is in fact taking place in the waters. So you have, now look at this, right? Notice how you have all one kind here, right? But then on this one, if you look closely, there's two sets of faces on them. 2 sets of arms. You understand? Up here it's singular. But there's some that are mixed in. Okay, this is a multiplication process, division process. Okay? It's multiplication if you look at it from what? From down to up. It's division if you look at it from up to down. Okay, this is the math system, right? And so you have them being bound together, which is multiplication or taken apart, which is the separation, which is also what? Osmosis, the movement of the water molecules from the membrane, from a high concentrated area, the division of the cleansing of the waters in the blood within the body. Removing things like what? Like blood clots and things. Right? Breaking down the bad and getting away from it, or parting the seas. The distribution of the new clean blood and water within the body. Hey, what up, Florida man? I was wondering if you was alright, yeah? I thought about that earlier, but I meant to hit you up, but I got distracted. Glad you're here, guy. So the story of Moses, that's it right there, right? Okay, it's also multiplication and division, addition and subtraction. And it's also teaching you about the mixing of the purified blood. Look, notice how, look, you see? Watch how it goes, right? See how the gold's on the outside with the legs in, right? And then you see nothing but it, the one with it gone. Then you have the one with it, one out, two out, three out. So that's what? Going inside. It's moving, it's rotating it in and out. See the legs? See how you see one leg here and a portion here. Then you see two whole legs, and then the back leg disappears, leaving the front, right? It started with the front leg, went around, and it wove in and out. See the serpents? All right, okay? So it's like watching something in a dishwasher. I mean, watching something in like going through a rotation. That's what it's showing you, is the rotation of it. Why? Because they're coming together. Yeah, the cycle. Right. You understand? So this is no, right? You see how it's all the same thing, right? It's all tied to the ship. Right? It's not a bunch of slaves pulling a ship, but that's what they'll tell you. Right? That's what they have everybody believing. Why? Because they tried to interpret all the symbols themselves after getting rid of the fucking people that were the ones that knew how to. Yeah, it's the bloodstream. That's why they're all red. It's the cleansing process. Multiplying the what? The white cells. You understand? Now don't get it twisted. There are ones that are about history and stuff like that, but they're all up to interpretation. Who were the ones who knew? Well, people like me. People that got told from somebody else that got told. That got told from somebody else that got told. That got told from somebody else that got told. Well, you are getting told. Now, whether you take it in or not, that's up to you. You get me? So, that's why he had the serpent. He spoke to the serpent, went and met the Father. It's not talking about the Father as in a god. It's the Father because Osiris was the creation, the first physical creation after the energy. The first thing that comes is your ventricles, the things that connect all the parts of the body together. There's not that many in the brain, so it's the underworld that it controls. That's why you have the story of the god of the underworld, who got divided into 14 pieces. That's your endocrine system. The 14 pieces is all the places that the nerves go to. He's always there with the serpents, because he controls all of it. So he's a sheep herder, right? The lamb. Yeah, I can change him. The serpent is your ventricles. Look. Look, right? See all the different snakes that hang off of the tree? They hang off all the branches. All throughout the body. There's one in the throat. There's even one in the middle of your brain. See it? Yeah, John, they come in here and enjoy my lives. They're like, it's like refreshing, because it's like going through it's like a free refresher course on all the stuff that they studied in medical school and stuff. But yeah, that's your corpus callosum. That's the thing that's the bridgeway between the left and the right hemisphere. Or that's your Jesus on the cross. Or that's your serpent in the tree of knowledge. You get me? Hey, what's up, King? What up, True? Yeah, it does look like a female part too. That's funny, right? But yeah, that's your tree of knowledge. Right, sweet. Are the intestine serpents? Yeah. The serpents are used for a lot of things in the body. because there's a lot of things that are anything that's in your body that's that something passes in and out of, that's a long tubular thing, is going to be represented by a serpent, or something that actually has the hood of one is going to also represent a serpent. Like that's what it is. Now look, check it out, right? You see how they say that he was on a tree? They be arguing that he was on a tree or a cross, because here's the cross right here coming down the middle. But if you look, it's also a tree. Right? And look, see how the hands are pinned? So, let's see. Where is that folder? Let's see if we got some of that symbolism in here. So, you know, you learn stories in the Bible about, yeah. I have a folder that has all of these, and these get updated every couple months after I've made a couple new ones, but it takes a while to make the new ones, right? And I was doing actual lives on them, but that kept getting messed up by me not being able to go live sometimes, because some people strongly disagree with some of the things that I show people, and decide to try to get it so I can't show people, right? So instead of doing the classes now, I'm just adding in each, like, portions of each of the lives into one of the folders for people to go along with. Like, I just take out sections and create videos out of those sections, and they're all in the folder that's named after the curriculum. But I put the lives, I'm putting all the lives on YouTube anyway. So each time that I do a live that has to do with it, that goes out to the YouTube channel, so that you can go back and take your own notes and learn off of it yourself. Oh, I don't care. I'm not here to talk to everybody. I'm only here to talk to the people that are close to this energetically. That's what draws people in the first place. Certain frequencies belong to certain things. What did I pass over? What was I looking for? I didn't think I was looking for anything specific at this point. I just wanted to go over the osmosis thing for this live. It's the Book of Johnson, but then there's some numbers after it, but it never pops up anyway. It's easier to just click on the Instagram button on my profile. I appreciate that, Truth. Thoughts on Crowley? Crowley is a more blatant example. right? Crowley is a more blatant example of how to create a religion out of these things, or a following, or teach people. See, the thing is the reason that it's not for everybody is because you have people that will take this and tell you, oh, these were gods and deities, and these were these creatures and things that did these horrendous acts and acted like this and acted like that, meanwhile having nothing to prove it except for their own interpretations of things, right? And then deciding on that and running with that and trying to teach people off of that weren't meant to know that, because of the fact that, you know, look at how much destruction and division learning these things in the wrong hands has done. Look at how much destruction and division learning these things in the wrong hands. Like, teaching you all these things about these things made it so that you couldn't learn. If knowledge is power and they're restricting your knowledge, does it seem like they had good intentions? So that's, you know, these are very powerful things. This teaches you so much that it's like that. Look at how much I showed you just in that one little image. Oh, wait. Let's go back to that one image. Hold on. This one right here. Think about that. You have addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division all within this, depending on which detail you pay attention to, right? Which makes it so that you can teach all of these things from this, right? Which makes it so that you can teach people to count, right? Not only that, but then you also can learn about physics, right? Because the more people put their energy into things, the easier it becomes for less, right? No, you understand? Pulling the boat, right? Now, what else can you learn about this? The white cells, the damaged cells, the repairing of them, and the combining or the reproduction of the new, all within one little tiny block. Color coded. Like, do you understand? Like, that's just one little block. Out of that, you got a story of a guy that walked around with a stick that was leading people from one side of a place to another. That spoke to a burning bush. Right? He received knowledge from the burning bush. You see the... And what did he... Now we know that this one represents the sternum, right? So he's receiving the knowledge of the heart, right? So what was he learning? How people should act and how they should treat each other, right? Oh, right? Coming from the one that they told you that was about knowledge. You get me? Getting it from the burning bush. See how he's got the artery right there? Notice the side shot of the brain. Notice how it's coming out of the brain. So that means it's what? Something that's inside of the brain. Hey, what up, Serendipity? All right. which is carrying what? That intention, the action that comes from the reaction that comes from, you understand? That's why they tell you that they all feared her, right? Remember, everything that's feminine has to do with building things. From energy, right? Everything masculine has to do with the physical manifestation of it. That's why you're physical and she's emotional. You're analytical and she's worried about the details. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, so the growth is feminine and the physical is the masculine. But look, I gotta run to the grocery store real quick. I'll be right back.